When my phone exploded, I was halfway through my morning coffee. The name flashing on the screen sent a quick surge of anxiety through me. My fingertips hovered over the slide button, sending a shiver down my spine. Melissa, my wife, I let out a breath and answered. Hey. I wasn't worried about masking the coldness in my voice. Good morning, Daniel. To you as well, she replied, her tone sugary sweet. I knew then she was about to say something I wouldn't like. Listen, I wanted to tell you something before you heard it from someone else, which is never a good sign. My grip on the cup tightened. Nevertheless, she continued, maintaining that infuriatingly pleasant tone, Jason needed somewhere to stay. Jason, her lover, the man she had been seeing behind my back, the man who now had the audacity to walk around freely in my life as if I didn't exist. And now, I was supposed to figure out why. She let out a loud sigh, as if I were the unreasonable one. You have that luxury, Daniel, she said. It's just sitting there in your Chicago apartment not being used at all. I put my coffee down before I smashed the mug. Melissa, I said, my voice dangerously even. Are you telling me you let your boyfriend move into my property? I ran a hand down my face, taking a deep breath. Jason is struggling, unlike you. And you don't even need the place. You have so many investments. I closed my eyes. Melissa. I didn't inherit anything. I earned it. I invested every cent, every piece of real estate, every ounce of financial security I acquired. And now you dared to let another man sleep under a roof I paid for without even asking? She repeated herself, her voice taking on that condescending tone she always used when she thought I was exaggerating. Daniel, I rented out an investment property. Even though we aren't together right now, I assumed you'd want to be the bigger person, because family supports family. Jason's been going through a rough time. He lost his job, his apartment, and now he has nothing. I almost laughed. Oh, really? And how long were you planning for this to go on? Silence. She didn't want me to know this wasn't a temporary arrangement. Eventually she spoke again, her voice betraying her guilt. But don't worry, Jason isn't a freeloader. He has a great sense of design. You should see the colors he picked for the walls while sprucing up the property. My grip on my phone tightened. Melissa. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Come on, Daniel. Why are you being so self-centered? You don't even live there. It's just a place where you have a lot of money tied up. Jason just needed help. And, for once, you could try being a decent person. That made me laugh. Not a warm laugh. Not even an angry one. It was the kind of laugh that carried years of restraint, exhaustion, and disappointment. Melissa, I said, my voice calm. You're absolutely right. I should help. In fact, I think I'll take a quick trip to Chicago. Maybe check in on my house. And since Jason is staying there, I'll have a real meeting with him. Her tone shifted instantly, panic creeping in. Why would you do that? Well, if everything is legal, then you wouldn't mind me looking into what's going on with my own property. Would you? Silence. This time, longer. Daniel, she said softly, I just think we should discuss this before making any rash decisions. Oh. Don't worry, I'm not making any rash decisions. But you're right about one thing, Jason has nothing. And when I'm finished, that's exactly what he'll be left with. I hung up. Then, before she could even call back, I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer. Melissa had always underestimated me. She thought that because I never yelled, never made a scene, and never reacted, that I would never fight back. Her first mistake was assuming I would stand by and let her disrespect me. Her second mistake? Thinking she had won. Her voice was unsteady. But now that we're here and have established a life, Daniel, you can't just... Melissa's breath hitched. It was never hers in the first place. I cut her off. Caught? I'm not sure why, but she simply didn't want to deal with the truth. It's unfair, she tried again, but her voice was breaking. That I have to face the fact that all I claimed was never mine in the first place? I asked, and Melissa seemed almost amused. Discuss fairness? Was it reasonable for you to move another man into my house? Was it reasonable for you to begin renting out my property? Was it fair that you persuaded my own mother to try and guilt me into giving up my house as if it were your own? Melissa was so desperate that, for the first time in a long time, she was at a loss for words. But then, desperation kicked in. She changed strategies. Daniel, pay attention to me. Perhaps we can resolve this. We might figure something out. I might even be able to buy the property from the bank. I laughed. Melissa, do you even have the funds to buy the house? Silence. Quietly, she admitted she didn't. Jason and I could think of something, like how you made $155,000 from illegal Airbnb rentals. I shot back. I could almost hear her stomach drop. She stammered, Did you? But I interrupted her. I knew everything. At that moment, Melissa realized she was never going to win this game. I let the silence stretch longer, then delivered the final blow. Good luck finding a new place. I gave you 30 days. Then I hung up. For the next few hours, my phone rang non-stop. Melissa called me 17 times. When Jason texted me in a fit of rage, I didn't respond. You can't do this. We deserve to stay. You're a monster. I'll sue you. Oh, that was rich. Sue me? I collected screenshots of every message, proving they had been making money off a property they didn't own. I added them to my legal folder and let them threaten me all they wanted. But the truth was clear. They had nowhere to go, no plan, and no options. Melissa had spent months thinking she had won. She convinced herself she had triumphed, that she could manipulate her way into keeping my property. But ultimately, she had only borrowed time. Once that time ran out, Melissa and Jason had exactly 30 days before the new owners filed a lawsuit to evict them. And the funny thing about entitled, people who believe they're untouchable, when things start going wrong, they don't plan. They don't think clearly. They panic. And in that panic, they dig themselves in deeper. At first, Melissa refused to believe it was real. For the first 2 days after the foreclosure, she kept calling me, leaving voicemails filled with fake optimism. Daniel, I understand you're mad, but we can work something out. Maybe the bank made a mistake. Let's talk. Melissa didn't care about working together when she moved her boyfriend into my house. She had no interest in sorting things out when she was profiting off my property. So why should I care now? Jason, however, had a different approach. His texts were more aggressive, more desperate. Dude, you can't do this to us. You don't even need the space. If you think you're going to get away with this, think again. I'll sue you for emotional distress. He was trying to act tough, but I could read between the lines. Jason was scared. He was losing not just his free house, but his entire lifestyle, one built on my generosity. No more luxury. No more easy money from Airbnb rentals. Jason had nothing, and soon that nothing would be official. Melissa's public outburst a week after receiving the eviction notice, Melissa made her second mistake. She went online and played the victim. She posted one of her signature long, dramatic tirades on social media. Some people have it all, and life is unfair. We've worked so hard to build a family, but money is more important than loyalty. We're being kicked out of our home, betrayed and devastated. But we will rise again. Oh, that was rich. She had the audacity to paint herself as the victim, and of course, her friends rushed in with sympathy. Who would do this to you? You deserve better. You worked so hard for that house. I couldn't stop laughing. Melissa worked hard? After stealing from me? After damaging my property? After exploiting my home for profit? It was pathetic. But it also worked in my favor. Because while she was busy crying on social media, I was finalizing my lawsuit. She thought the 30-day eviction notice was the worst part. She had no idea I had been gathering evidence of her illegal Airbnb rentals for months. Financial records proving she profited off my home, noise complaints and security concerns from my neighbors, screenshots of Melissa, claiming ownership of the house. Photos of unauthorized renovations. Sent everything to my lawyer. Melissa and Jason weren't just getting evicted, they were getting sued for $67,000 in damages and unpaid rent. When scammers turn on each other. 2 weeks before eviction day, things between Melissa and Jason fell apart. According to my neighbors, they were fighting constantly, screaming matches, broken glass. Melissa, as always, blamed someone else. "You said we'd have money. You promised. We'd be fine." Jason, on the other hand, did what scammers do best. He vanished. The night before the eviction, he packed up and left. Melissa was alone. And on the day of the eviction, reality finally hit her. She begged for more time, pleaded with the sheriff, but it was too late. The law wasn't on her side. She was out. For months, Melissa had lived in luxury, rent-free. Now, she was carrying her belongings to the curb. She had spent her whole life thinking she could manipulate her way into a free ride. But reality doesn't work that way. And now, she was paying the price. The aftermath Jason was long gone. Melissa had no money, no home, and nowhere to go. She tried reaching out to me. "Daniel, please, I made a mistake. Jason left. I have nowhere to go. Just one last favor. Please." I left. Her message on read. For once in her life, Melissa had to face the consequences. But it wasn't over yet. A month after I filed my lawsuit, I got an unexpected call. It was my private investigator, Luke. "You won't believe this," he laughed. "Try me. Your boy Jason? Turns out you weren't the only one he scammed. He's got a warrant out for his arrest." I sat up in my chair. "For what? Credit card fraud? Stolen identities? Some pretty serious stuff. And guess what? The cops just showed up at Melissa's parents' house looking for him." I could only imagine the look on her face. She had thrown away a good marriage for a fugitive. She had destroyed her life for a criminal. Poetic justice, at its finest. And me? I just sat back, drank my coffee, and enjoyed the show.